oh yes, oh yes. Come on in the room, my Lord. Why don't you come on in? How you doing? Welcome back. For those who are just here for the first time, hello, how you doing? How you doing? So, you clicked on today's video, and there was a reason for it. And this is a continuation, sort of We Are Not African, for all of those Black American who ancestors came by way of the American slave trade. This is just a continuation video, and I have a lot to show and to share with you on today. First, let me start off by saying this is not to offend anybody. We still have brothers and sisters that are from our tribe, and you will hear that in a clip on today, are still in Africa, and they practice our culture of where we primarily came from. And you will find that out as you continue and begin to study. So let's go ahead and start with this video.
How do I say this respectfully? I'm not your people. You're not my people. I don't roll like that. Just because we have the same skin color doesn't mean that you're my people or vice versa. And this is something that I've seen as an immigrant who has been living in the United States of America for more than a decade now. This past couple of years, people like you see me and automatically assume that I'm a slave descendant, my ancestors are slaves, and then they expect us to think the same way, act the same way, or believe in the same things.
So, as you can see from the first video, this sister, because she's still our sisters, we're related to everybody. We're all, like I said in the previous video, we all bleed the same blood. But this sister from Africa, who is actually an African, she said, "You are not my people. We do not have the same culture. We do not practice the same way. We don't believe in the same thing." And she's basically tired of people associating her with Black Americans, because she clearly states in this video that she is not our people. Okay? So this is just the mindset of people, not all people, but certain ones in different tribes. What we have to realize that Africa is a continent, and I think it takes like 4 or 5 United States to make up the landmass of Africa. So within those land masses, you have different cultures, you have different beliefs, they speak different languages, etc., etc. It's totally different. So they even look at themselves as different within the continent of Africa. So if you have someone from Kenya may not be able to relate to someone who is from Zimbabwe. So that's just how it rolls. And they definitely, for the most part, do not consider us to be kinfolk. So with that being said, I don't know if you recall, about 2 years ago, there was some controversy on the show called The View. It involved Whoopi Goldberg, and she had said something, and it's just to prove what we just saw in this video. It's just to prove that just because you have the same skin color does not mean that you are from the same place or that you are the same people. Whoopi Goldberg got suspended for saying this.
Have you come to understand that the Nazis saw it as race?
Well,
because they might, asking the Nazis, they would say, yes, it's a racial issue.
Well, see, this is what's interesting to me, because the Nazis lied. It wasn't. They had issues with ethnicity. not with race, because most of the Nazis were white people, and most of the people they were attacking were white people. So to me, I'm thinking, how can you say it's about race if you are fighting each other? So it all really began because I said, how will we explain to children what happened in Nazi Germany? I said, this wasn't racial. This was about white on white. And everybody said, no, it was racial. And so that's what this all came.
There is a station that I really enjoy watching just for its content, because they do bring out certain issues that affect our community. The other day, I'm gonna call him Uncle Phil because that's like my uncle. He talks about some stuff and we feel a lot of the same in a lot of ways. So Uncle Phil, he is really, really passionate about the continent of Africa. He has trips going back to the motherland. He interacts, he hires, like I said, contributors from Africa to let us know what's going on over there. And he's really trying to unify Black America with Africans and the so-called motherland. So he has a station. I don't know if he's the owner, but I believe he is. But he's trying to unify these cultures together. However, the other day he did a segment based off of a video he had, I guess, seen on TikTok. It really rubbed him the wrong way. And let's take a look.
As an African living in the United States, I used to share the same sentiment that Africans share about African Americans, because I had a hard time when I first moved here. People used to always tell me, you're not Black enough, you're an Oreo, you're secretly white on the inside, as if I wasn't literally from Africa. But I now understand, after living here for 8 years, that Black in the United States is a very specific criteria, and anything outside of that just doesn't fit. But I want to help African Americans understand that Africans coming to the United States are immigrants, first and foremost. Then they are Nigerian or Senegalese or whatever country they're from, and then at some point they are Black. But Africans don't put Black high up on their identity well as much as African Americans do. And that is for legitimate reasons on both ends. And so when an African is coming to the United States, they're thinking to themselves, okay, I'm an immigrant here, I have to do my best for myself and my family back home. The sacrifices that took for me to get here were no light work, okay? So I need to really align myself with what's going to make me successful in this country. And because it's the United States, it's the dominant culture, which is white American culture. And so Africans are going to instinctively ally themselves with the culture that's going to give them the most success. I mean, African Americans even admit that they have to code switch to be successful here, because that's what brings success. And so Africans are like, all right, we'll do that. And it also doesn't help that for a long time, Africans are fed a very negative view of Black American culture, and that's its own propaganda. But because Africans are so conservative and they're coming to a country where Black Americans have been labeled as the antithesis to this conservative traditional family values, they have, if anything, more in common with Southern Baptist white racist people. But that aside, going back to identity markers, Black Americans put Black first and foremost, and then everything else goes below it. And so they're thinking when another Black people come to our country, they're going to want to integrate with us, the other Black people, because Black comes first. And they get quickly disappointed in realizing that for Africans, Black and the identity and that coming is not first. Their immigrant identity comes first, and then their country. And if anything, for us as Africans to feel like that's my brother, that's my brethren, or whatever, you have to come from the same tribe as us, because we have so many Black people around, we don't automatically pre-select for Black. But Black Americans don't have so many Black people around, have had to defend and protect their culture amidst a dominant white culture, and so they already pre-select and are overprotective for Black. And so that's why I think at the core of it, there's a deep misunderstanding because of not realizing that we put like where we put our identity markers and what we put first and what we prioritize are so different culturally because of our differences in trauma, realistically. And so it does make sense that Black Americans will be like, oh, my people, my brethren, come here, and African Americans, or Africans, sorry, coming to the United States are like, I'm just trying to make it here. Like, it's a lot of work to immigrate to the United States. And so y'all can stay over there, and I can see why it's hurtful, and I can see why it's taken personally, and I can see the deep misunderstanding and the betrayal that African Americans feel. But it's unfortunate, and that's just a reality. But if we can talk about it from this perspective, I think we can get to a better understanding. But I also believe that Africans that spend enough time in the United States get to this compassion and understanding of the Black American community, because it is a very unique and specific set of circumstances for a culture to grow and to develop.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that video was, when I first saw that, I was like, wow, that is very interesting. Now you kind of understanding why some, I say all, don't write me. Now you understand why some move the way they move. Now you get why they can't be Black first. They can't look out for the community because they don't look at us as part of their particular community. We didn't know this for a long time. Let's call it what it is. We didn't know this. Now, for some of you writing, she doesn't represent every African immigrant. I didn't say she did. But based on what she said, the actions make sense though. Like, why we say, hey, y'all look like us. Come on and join. It makes sense why you separate yourself in your communities. It makes sense, don't it? Because you don't see yourself as Black. You don't see yourself as one of us. That's why when you get here, you'd rather go join the folks. You rather separate yourself from Black America, and that's fine.
Okay, I don't want to hold this video too long, but I just do want to point out a few points about this topic and about what we have just witnessed from this broadcast. I'm going to say it. I've said it in several of my previous videos. Black Americans, we have a history. We have a culture that predates America, that predates Africa. When we were in Africa, we held by those customs and we held by those traditions. We had a culture. We were architects. We were kings. We were soldiers. We were priests. We were bankers. We were farmers. We were blacksmiths. We had our own community. Now, this sister said when she was describing the experience, she said something about tribes. It seems like Uncle Phil got offended by that. And he shouldn't have, because that's how you are identified in the motherland, by tribes. Each tribe may believe something totally different than the other tribe. We were our own tribe. And that is very important. You should not take offense to that. Because when you do your research, you will find out that the tribe that Black Americans, descendants of slaves, you will find out that our culture is very rich. And it's a threat to certain people in today's society. I'm not going to get too involved with it because I'm trying to grow. But you're going to have to kind of read between the lines. There are certain things that you cannot say, but read between the lines. You cannot dispute facts. And with that being said, our tribe, when we were in Africa, we built the dynasties. We were them people. We were those folks. We taught other cultures and other nations civilization. We did that. Everywhere we touched, and we can actually verify this, every land we touched became prosperous. Every land that we touched. And it wasn't just Africans, just random Africans. There was a particular people that made this stuff happen. And actually, to be very specific, just because we don't share the same skin color or the same traditions, you would be surprised to know who we are actually related to, who our cousins are. And I'm gonna give you a hint. Take a look at society globally, okay? And especially here in the West. Who are the people that are at the bottom? I'm talking about North America and South America. The West Indies, Haiti, the Dominicans. Aren't these called third world countries? I wonder why. So we shouldn't take offense when it comes down to tribes. I can really tell that Uncle Phil was hurt and bothered by this because he wants to unify. But again, when this stuff was happening with Kyrie Irving, just because he posted a video, didn't say anything on the video, but he posted a video and he got into serious trouble. Let's see who else got into trouble. We just saw Whoopi Goldberg. She got into serious trouble. Let's see who else. Nick Cannon. He got into so much trouble in 2020 that they stopped talking about for at least a day or two. They stopped talking about everything that was going on during that time in 2020. The pandemic, they stopped talking about it. And they also stopped talking about George Floyd. I mean, the media shut down from talking about all of that. And they focused on Nick Cannon. They whooped him back in line. And now, Nick Cannon don't know what to do. He making children everywhere. He's showing them, yes sir, yeah, whatever you say, sir. Just don't turn off my ends. Just don't turn off my funds. But deep down inside in his heart, he know. A lot of them know. A lot of these celebrities know. They're just not willing to lose what they have gained. Now understanding that whenever the powers that be want to, whenever they want to, they can take it away. That's another video. But anyway, Uncle Phil, if you see this video, you did an interview, and I'm not endorsing this particular group, but I will say that the information, the basic information of this group should have told you something. And I'm talking about when Kyrie got into that trouble. The news would not report what went on at Barclays Stadium. I don't watch sports. But anyway, at Barclays Stadium, they didn't want to report it. But it was something so beautiful. It was something so beautiful. And I might try to put that somewhere within this video. But it was black, Negro men. It was Puerto Rican men. It was Mexican men. And it was Jamaicans. They even had some Haitians in there. And if it wasn't looking like a swarm marching down the streets on the way to the Barclays, it was the most beautiful, peaceful. But all of those men who were marching, they know who they are. I may not agree with everything that they teach, Because my elder the bomb. But I might not agree with everything they teach. But that unity, that love, we got our own heritage. Don't sit up here and get discouraged, Uncle Phil. Because the Africans, most of them, are showing you who they are. They're telling you. We have got to stop begging for acceptance. Anybody who will take us. We're too great for that. Not only did we build this country, everything we do, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing, we're influencers. We do it. We take nothing and make something out of it. Back in the day, off a master table, they would give them some oxtails. Our mothers took them oxtails. Talk to me, somebody. Them mothers took them oxtails and knew how to make it and do the gravy and a little bit of flour and boil them down real good, make them good and tender. Now go to the store and try to get some oxtails. You get 6 of them, can't even more bone than it is meat. And them things cost more than a porterhouse steak for 6. We are inventors. We are great. We don't need to be accepted by nobody. We need to accept ourselves and love ourselves. They've done a wonderful job. The powers that be have done a wonderful job. And I can't blame it all on them because it's our fault too. We have got to be accountable for the situation we're in. Do your research, people. Uncle Phil, do your research. Because once we find out, and we're getting ready to end, but once we find out who we are and whose we are, things will never be the same. You ain't seen nothing yet. Again, if you like this video, please, you know what to do. Subscribe, like. You need to share it. You need to share. Each one teach one. Leave your comments below, and I'm going to see you on the next video. Hey, God bless. Mwah.
Our highest gathering is Israel.